What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Adobe Photoshop Masterclass course, continuing on the advanced section with the exercise of creating a professional title graphic, combining the advanced skills that we know so far. I'm talking about text effects down here. We know about them. We know how to use them. And I'm also talking about layer warps, aka layer styles, warping the text to get it looking even nicer and actually sort of create a motion that is going to be satisfactory and also reinforces our message of the text, right? So let's actually go up here to File, go ahead and press New. And when we press New, we're going to want to go ahead and make sure this is 1920 by 1080. Right now it's set to some other stuff, 1920 by 1080. Go ahead and press OK, aka Enter, and we're here with a blank document. So we want to go over here to the text tool, and I want to first off write out what we are going to write. So what I'm actually going to go ahead and write is a sort of nice logo text for TQ9 Media. TQ9 Media is my production company. That is a professional text I feel like creating right now, and it's a professional text I can stand by. So we want to be creating a logo. So go ahead and write down the name of whatever your brand is, or whatever your last name is, or whatever the case may be, something that's a little bit exclusive to you, right? And I want to go ahead and write TQ9, and then I'm going to go down here and I'm actually going to write media just for the fact that it actually lines up. And we're going to be tweaking this text. And what we can do is we can do all the effects to one layer and sort of just drag it over and then correct it and see what needs to be corrected. So we got TQ9 media right there. We can make that a little bit bigger. Throw that right there. Media, let's make sure that one's nice and centered. Awesome. TQ9, let's make sure that one's nice and centered as well. We can just find that center point as we just did right there. Perfect. So what I want to go ahead and do is actually tweak this text to make it pretty more advanced than a basic layer like that. First, what I want to do is I want to go down to media, right? Media is looking pretty cool, and I want to go ahead and highlight everything, go up here and make this one gold. So the logo is gold for my company. Let's go down here, make it a little bit more brown, whatever. Boom. Absolutely perfect. Go ahead and make that just like that. And the TQ9, we can actually go up here, copy paste the color code, Control C, highlight the TQ9, go ahead and make the TQ9 the exact same color, right? Because TQ9, we're going to be replicating everything the media does. So now what I want to do is I want to actually go up here to actually I'll start with TQ9, and we could go down here to effects. First, I want to add a little bit of drop shadow, right? In fact, I want to make sure this is on 120, the angle, right? So that essentially the drop shadow looks like it's dropping down. I don't want to have too much size to it. But I don't want to have too much spread to it either. I just want a nice, firm drop shadow. In fact, I might even bring the opacity down a tiny bit, right? So maybe 85%. It's looking like that. It's looking pretty good. Now I want to actually go up to pattern overlay. I do not want much of a pattern overlay, maybe the tiniest little bit, so it adds like a little bit more texture to it. 50% on soft lights, looking kind of good. Then we want the gradient. We definitely do want a gradient, and just like that, we see that a nice gradient to do on almost any color is a black to a white, a dark to a light. Essentially, the reason you'd want to do that is because it adds this nice gradient layer over the top of whatever your colors are. So instead of actually adding a dark, dark orange to light orange and actually programming that in here where we, click here, make maybe like a real darker orange just like that and then go up. No, I'm going to cancel that. Essentially, just having a soft light with a black to white gradient using the soft light, which means it blends in, pretty much nicely complements almost any, and I'm going to say that again, almost any piece of text, almost any image. It's just nice. It creates a little bit more of a flow going on, essentially. Now, what I want to do is I want to continue on. The next one I want to do is get a little bit of inner shadow. Inner shadow, we're going to have to bump that up a little bit and bring that over to maybe right about there. But inner shadow just gives a bit of depth to it, as you can see right there. We turn the inner shadow off, looks a bit more flat. We turn it on, there is a bit more depth to it. It sort of makes sense. There's a bit of shadow right there and a little bit of shadow right there. So it continues what the eye expects. We want stuff to look pretty much on point, right? We want it to look like something you've seen before and not raise any alarms. Then we want to go to the stroke, and we want to put a smaller stroke on there, maybe something around there. And the stroke is really going to be complemented when we put the bevel and emboss on right there, which we know the pillow emboss is pretty cool. However, there's something which I have here, which is actually switching the gloss contour and actually turning anti-aliasing on as well. But it'll be on that by default, and just clicking over and just checking them out bit by bit and seeing what the different gloss contours are. And essentially, you can get some real nice looking ones. and something that's going to complement our image nicely. And I think that really is it right there. So then what you can do is you can jump in a little bit further by tweaking the size of it and also the actual depth of it. Now the depth of it I'm going to have on full because it just gives us that nice defined chiseled look. But overall the size I'm not going to have on full. Look, goes crazy. Look at that. Look, it looks absolutely wild. But what we could do is we can create kind of like a metally, sort of oily effect by just zoning that up a bit, maybe do about 30%. And that's looking pretty nice to me right there. It's looking pretty good. It's looking like almost a little bit of contour. A little bit of contour is not actually showing us too much stuff, so I think we can sit that out. Bevel and emboss, TQ9, it's looking pretty damn good. We can go ahead and press OK. It's looking good. I'm happy with it. What we want to do is literally just go ahead and duplicate this layer, drag and drop it into a brand new layer, and don't worry, we're going to delete this. Click on Effects, drag it down to Media, and let it go on Media. And what that's going to do is going to copy everything from the top layer to the bottom layer. Then we can simply delete that because we know it's only a copy, and we're left with a nice advanced piece of text that says TQ9 Media. Amazing. We can even turn off the background and we've got a transparent piece of text. Now there's just one final small thing. Literally that right there on its own is looking really, really nice, and I'm happy with it. There's only one small thing that I want to do to complete it. Two small things, in fact. First off, have a little mess around with the media and see what happens with dropping the colors a little bit. So maybe even going down to a real dark orange right there, right? Maybe even something like that. So we tweak something so there's a little bit of change in it. Personally, I'm thinking that might actually not be the right way to do it. It could just be black, right? Black could be the nice bottom layer to it. It's looking pretty nice. Now, what I also want to do is I want to press Control-T on it, hold Shift, and actually make this just a little bit smaller. So essentially, we've got TQ9 Media with a little bit smaller text. And in fact, I might want to even undo that, highlight it, and actually just go ahead and we're going to do this with the warp. So we go ahead and get the warp, go through here, and what I want to go ahead and do is have a look at what we can do to make this look a little bit smaller, right? So we see just like that. We can bring the media in a little bit like that. And in fact, I might even want to set the tone for the warp by going to the TQ9 first. So maybe even not making it smaller. I'm starting to abandon that as I think about it. But what about an upper arc? So if we go TQ9, upper arc, just like that, which is looking a little bit crazy right now. But then if we highlight the media, go here and go to arc lower, go ahead and press OK, we might have created a pretty cool effect right here. Control-Z, undoing it, coming back over here, scaling it back down, and that right there is warp number 1. Now, in my opinion, that's made it look far less professional. We're going to go ahead and press Control-Z, Control-Z, and let's actually go ahead and now go for a little bit more of a subtle approach. So that was me just really experimenting. I got no plan for this right here. It's really just, let's freestyle it. Let's make something nice. I want to go ahead and get the media, and I want to complement it nicely with an arc. However, I want to do 5%. 5% is a more reasonable sort of effect to be putting on there. As you see, it makes this sort of gradual lean upwards, and then we can go ahead and highlight the TQ9 and actually get that 5% upper arc as well. And just like that, we've created some pretty nice text, which is a little bit dynamic, right? A little bit more advanced. In fact, I might even try and make this a good old-fashioned 10. A good old-fashioned 10 never hurt anybody, all right? In fact, we can maybe do it on a 15. Come up here, get this one, make this one a 10. Or you know what, make it a 15 as well. Make sure everything matches up. And that's actually looking a bit too much, so I'm going to press Control-Z, undo that, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick with the 5. So you saw a little bit of back and forth right there, guys. Every time, that's going to be what it is. You're not going to get something perfect the first time. If you do, keep going. You're clearly made for this. The final thing that I want to do is maybe make the media a little bit smaller. At the end of the day, there's something about this image that was looking like it needed something, and in my opinion, that's going to be it. I'm even going to go into the bevel and the emboss, and I'm just going to bring that size down a little bit, or even that actual depth to it. So as you see, it adjusts, and then it's looking pretty nice. We can then press, Control, actually highlight both of these, bring them into the middle, and we've built some pretty nice text, in my opinion. I mean, it might even be, is it going a little bit too far to even go ahead and change the font, right? You might even want to change the font to something else. For example, I might even get like a font that's a little bit more thin, if you know what I mean, right? Maybe a little bit more thin, and then I might feel comfortable stretching it out a little bit more, whatever the case may be. But again, all these are just little technical details. I'm actually going to Control-Z, undo that shit, and we're just going to be sat here with the TQ9 media, advanced title, which we have combined effects and actual warps, aka text warp, aka text styles. So that right there combines to create our advanced layers and our advanced text. We can press Control S and save this as advanced titles. Go ahead and save that, and that right there is advanced titles done and dusted. We have TQ9 Media on the screen. We're moving on with more advanced layers coming up.